Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl, Star Flames, and we are back with another video. In this video, we're gonna talk about Boosie defending Diddy against Cassie, ahead of Cassie taking the stand. As you guys know, Sean Diddy Combs' trial, it has kicked off. Cassie has officially taken the stand today. But as it relates to what had transpired so far yesterday, Diddy's kids, they were, escorted out of the courtroom as the escort takes the stand to give his testimony. So basically, this male escort said that it was in New York City. He would be, one of those people that Cassie Ventura communicates with. So Cassie makes all the contacts, and the initial contact, he was told by his boss that he would have been given $200. That was like almost 10 years ago. No, it's more than 10 years ago. Really thinking about it, it's more than 10 years ago. Maybe it's about 15 years at this point. So $200, it's not as measly as it is today. $200 at that point in time was a little bit decent. However, this guy was greeted by Cassie Ventura at the door. He basically described Cassie to be one of the most beautiful women he has ever seen. She was dressed in a red sexy lingerie. She was wearing, bangs, a pair of shades, and she was wearing hats as well. And Cassie basically, said to him, "I'm going to give you $4,000. And these are our requirements. My husband and I, we would like you to do this, that, and this. However, my husband will not be touching you. You will be the one who is touching me. And my husband will be giving you some instructions to carry out. And if you're not comfortable with anything at any point, you can let us know, and you can always leave. You're not being forced to do anything against your will." So the gentleman basically said that Diddy was, in a chair in one corner of the room while he directed them on what to do. He watched and he played with himself, and that's how the first encounter took place. He got his money. He was good with it. And then every time they were in New York City, Cassie Ventura would make the communication, and it would always be referred to as a wife and husband situation. So, judging from that, you know that there was some high manipulative tactics going on here. And Boosie Badazz coming in now to say he believes Cassie Ventura was a willing participant. All I have to say to Boosie is just wait until your young daughter is being preyed upon by an older guy and is being manipulated and groomed, because I believe that a lot of people can read and write, but not many people are educated to the fact that someone given consent, it does not mean that they were willing participants. They were groomed, manipulated, and brainwashed to think that, oh, you're one of us now. You're going to be my wife one day. You're going to be a celebrity. You would never have to worry about these things getting out in the general public. This is what us elitists do. You're one of us. I'm going to ensure you're taken care of. And Diddy did do that for the most part. He would give Cassie those $1 million shopping spree. You guys remember Shine Burrows told us that he would witness Diddy like spending $1 million or more on clothing for this girl. So he had her highly manipulated, groomed, controlled, and when she was not being submissive enough, when the money, when the drugs, when the alcohol did not do the submissiveness for Diddy, that's when the hands and feet would come in. And not just the hands and feet, he would also carry out other gruesome acts around her for her to understand his capabilities. If I'm doing this to this guy, don't think that, I can't do this to you. It would be too easy. And it gave her a glimpse of how easy it would be for him to do even worse to her. So as such, with Boosie coming out and saying that, Cassie was a willing participant, we're talking about a father here, a father. And you know what? We may want to drag him, but he's arrogant to psychological abuse. And as such, we have to say, you know what? We really do hope that he gets some education. Now, specifically, what Boosie has said, he said, if anything, this should be a domestic abuse case, not a sex trafficking case. She enjoyed the wild sex parties and the extravagant gifts on the back end. All of these years of sex parties, and you mean to tell me she didn't enjoy it? I'm convinced she enjoyed it. I'm pretty sure she so, so he's saying here, he is sure that she enjoyed it. And this is coming from the mentality of a man. And this is why men oftentimes exploit women, because in their sick, twisted, narrow mind, oh, she's only crying, but she likes it. She's acting as though she's not enjoying it. She likes it. She's only pretending. She's only pretending, and she wants me to believe that, she doesn't like it. The tears are not real. She knows that I like the tears. She knows the tears turn me on. So she's only crying because she wants to turn me on. And this is why you have more men behind bars than women. Men, not all of them, but majority. And the last video that I did, so, using a similar phrase, someone told me that what I'm saying was not true, and it was some misconception of mine, something that I've made up. And I'm like, how can I make this up when there are correctional facilities worldwide filled with men, and the ratio of men to women, it's evident that men are aggressors more than women. I'm like, knock. And that comments like those, they're left by a man. I don't know. I think that they really, really, really need to study a man's brain, because men, they think so different. They think so opposite, like their thoughts, it's from another dimension. And like, I cannot understand why someone like a Boosie cannot get it through his head that not because a woman may smile, and not because, she may give the sense that, okay, having the best time, it doesn't mean that she's having the best time. And we can consciously remember Cassie Ventura detailing how this man would put drugs and substances in her drink to the point where she started having forgetful memory. She would not remember things. And when those things are coupled with, being abused, come on, So these things are very, very dangerous for Boosie to be putting out here. He's like, I'm pretty sure she came during, he's saying that he's pretty sure she came during those freak-offs. This man is someone that should be watched carefully. For a man to say publicly that he's sure that a woman came during a freak-off, this is how rapists think. They think that if a woman came during an assault, they enjoyed it. This man has the mentality of a rapist, and he was like, it was a lifestyle. It was consensual. She was his girlfriend, and trying to get someone life in prison for this bullshit. They definitely deserve it, because we've seen signs that Cassie did not want to be there. And these signs have been there for so many years. And we've heard so many different artists telling these stories of how this man would literally, put hands on and feet on this woman, even in front of others, having her getting plastic surgery, getting a breast augmentation, then saying, nah, I don't like how they look, take them out, And then when this woman starts stepping into wisdom and maturity, and then realize that For over a decade, she was in a psychological manipulative relationship where she was groomed, she was used, she was abused, she was toyed with, she was played with, she was lied to, she was misled. How do you expect her not to take some kind of action? It's always the woman's fault. And men like Boosie are highly dangerous because you're saying that you're sure that she came during the freak offs, and because she came, it means that she enjoys it. That's the psychology of a rapist. Tested, tried, and proven. That's the psychology of a rapist. Not because someone came during an encounter, it doesn't mean that they were a willing participant. It's like, for example, if a woman, there was this case a couple years ago when I think it was 3 or 4 women assaulted a man. And that case was something that was so very difficult in court because the argument was that if the guy wasn't having fun, he wouldn't have had an erection. And if he wasn't having fun, he wouldn't have came. And the thing is that people are often drugged in these circumstances. If you go back and you listen to or watch that Abercrombie and Fitch documentary from BBC, the men who are gay, they would give these heterosexual male substance enhancers, right? And because these guys would not naturally sleep with men, they would give them substance for them to have an erection, and they would drug them and take disadvantage of them. And this is why I say many people can read, but not many people are educated. And Boosie is definitely one of those individuals. And I believe that while we are all entitled to our own opinion, our freedom of expressions, some words are very dangerous, even for Boosie himself to be promoting on the internet. This is the psychology of a man, and this is why we have so many of them behind bars, because they really don't get it. And for him to have such a dangerous message putting out there on social media, this man needs to be investigated. He needs to be observed, and every woman should be cautious around him. But I want to hear from you guys. What's your take? While you're at it, give this video a big thumbs up, share, stay safe, and we're gonna have to talk some more about this one in the comment section. Peace.